Welcome to yet another FAQ at Truly Heal. We're here in Big Pine in California. Behind me, that's already Nevada, and you see the Salt Lake nestled in the mountains, really beautiful. And around me are supposedly 2,000-year-old pines, bristle pine cones, and they look really stunning. I'll blend in some images and, as usual, some drone shots that you see the area. It's very spectacular, and I had the feeling this is the magic spot and thought we'll just answer a question that I thought was kind of sneaky. Marcus, what would you do if you were diagnosed with cancer? We're researching the best cancer treatments since 15 years. And again, in the beginning, we did like everybody else, jump on all those cures, but we forgot the essence of healing. And that's what we changed 8 years ago. And then 5 years ago when we started the Truly Heal Academy. And since then, we educate health coaches, not in treating the disease, but in healing the body. So let me give you an overview of how we see this disease to be resolved. When you have cancer, it means that your immune system cannot deal with the ongoing production of new cancer cells. Normally, in a healthy body, your immune system should be able to keep that in check, eat them all up, reduce all the inflammations, and, well, do a great job and keep you healthy. But as soon as you have too much inflammation, too much acidity, not enough oxygen, too much stress, your immune system is lowered. And the lower your immune system is, the more your cancer cells start growing. So what would I do if I was diagnosed with cancer today? Well, very simple. What do? I have always followed the guide, the lead, that I do exactly what I teach. And if I feel it's working and it's great, then I keep going with it. Now let's look at what are the main 3 contributors to cancer or to suppress your immune system. Number 1 are infections. If you have infections, and there can be so many, I'll just mention a few, that suppress your immune system, that it's the only reason that you need to have cancer. For example, we know Helicobacter pylori, which lives in your gut, in your stomach, can be a main contributor or a reason for you to develop. It's a carcinogen. Then you can have dental cavitations full with bacteria that leach out thimerosal that can cause cancer. Then you can have infections like STDs, suppressed. You don't really see them at the outside, but they can be there. You can have suppressed Lyme disease. You can have a gut biome which is filled with, like I said, Helicobacter pylori, Klebsiella, Pseudomonas. There's plenty of pathogenic bacteria. And if they overgrow and your healthy bacteria are not strong enough, well, then they create a lot of neurotoxins. And those toxins are non-stop flushed through the liver, and it is something that can suppress your immune system so badly that that is the sole reason for your disease. So I would definitely check straight away, go to a doctor, go to a clinic, and have tested what kind of bacteria I have in my gut, what I have in my jaw. If I have an overgrowth, a lot of people have very bad breath. Bad breath comes from bacteria, whether in your teeth, whether in your jawbone, whether in your esophagus, whether in your stomach or in your small intestine. It is something that is producing that bad smell. So all of that needs to be instantly discovered so that we know what is, in my case, or in your case, the main contributor. Now we know the treatment for it, but I'll talk about them in a moment. The next step I would do is to check for toxicity. Now I can have heavy metal poisoning from mercury, from lead, from whatever I've been exposed to, especially if you grew up on a farm. You can have a lot of toxins that are coming from farming equipment, farming spray, poison, fertilizers, how do you call them? The pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, all of that. So that can be a big factor. And then find out whether you have non-heavy metal toxicity. So heavy metal toxicity is one test, and then you have the GPL tox, which is non-heavy metal. And if you have plenty of those toxins, rat poison, petrochemicals, pharmaceuticals, a lot of your drugs that you take cause cancer. They have that as a label in the side effect. So all of that would need to be evaluated, which our coaches actually learn to do, to find out where is your toxic load and what is actually triggering the disease. Then we look as a third factor, which is probably one of the most important in regards to healing, is your deficiencies. Now, if you lack just one thing, let's say you have no selenium or no zinc, your immune system can't kill cancer cells. Full stop. It's an anti-cancer remedy. So it will leach out in the beginning out of your bone marrow, out of your organs, everything it can. But once these resources are exhausted, it cannot heal your body anymore. So just that one. Now think about, we have about 50 different phytonutrients, vitamins, sunshine, vitamin D3, really, really crucial for your healing. So we check the wide variety of vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, then the amino acids, very important, good oils for the brain, for everything to function, and check out if there is any deficiency. That's the first thing I did when I was diagnosed with a disease. I'm not saying with cancer, but it was the first thing. And I was deficient. I was so iodine deficient that it was not funny. I had an excess in zinc, and selenium was completely empty. Now, if you have heavy metals in your mouth, mercury, your body uses selenium to flush out toxins. It uses iodine to flush out toxins. Now, I had a mercury poisoning, so my body exhausted all resources to flush out that mercury, and then I didn't give it plenty back. So these things are really, really relevant to restore so that the body can actually heal. Think about, you have every 14 days new eyes. You have every 4 weeks new liver on this side. Kidneys, everything is replicated non-stop. And if your body doesn't have the building blocks to create those cells, to create the DNA and to replicate properly, well, then you create diseased and sick cells more and more, and then cancer takes over. So very important, deficiencies need to be regulated. And that's pretty much it. That's the whole program. Finding out what causes the disease, what triggers it, and then reevaluate my life in regards to stress. What is unnecessary in my life? What do I do? Where do I spend time and money and energy which is not relevant? Sitting down and reducing stress out of my life by focusing on those things which are important. See, we spend time with unimportant things instead of cutting away what is not important, people that are just draining. Cut it out, make your life clean, focus on what is important, build yourself a network of people that support you, that you want to work with, and that's it. So stress, toxins, deficiencies, and infections. These are the things we need to find out and check. And once we have, then we can start the treatment process. And again, all people think, oh, I need to act very fast. No, disease has been growing for the last 7 years. First do your groundwork, what is causing it, and then start treating. So what I would do if I had infections, very important, infections, and many of you will say now, it's ozone. No, I would start with hyperthermia. Don't get me wrong, ozone will do the trick as well. But hyperthermia is such a vast treatment that covers so many factors that it is mandatory. It is mandatory in German clinics, it is mandatory in most European clinics, and it is something you cannot bypass. Now let's just look what hyperthermia does. And you can go into the training, it's on trulyheal.com/hyperthermia, and then you can go through there. But I'll just mention the most important parts. Number one, it detoxifies without stressing the liver and kidneys. Because you detoxify through the skin, and we call that deep tissue detoxification, you flush out toxins through the skin. That is very, very powerful. And because you bypass the liver and kidney, you don't need to check your liver detox pathways. You don't need to do a DNA test. You don't need to do anything because most of it comes out through sauna and hypothermia. So you can do 3 times a week sauna, which is really that cleansing. Just 20 minutes per day, lay in full beam, and after 20 minutes go out and have a shower, and you will see that massive amounts of toxins come out 3 times. And then 1 time a week, hyperthermia, which has another effect. You sweat the same way and you detoxify the same way, but you produce, due to the high fever, you produce a lot of white blood cells. And those white blood cells will then help you eat up all the bacteria, all fungi, all candida, all mold, all cancer cells, because they are scavengers. They are your immune police that cleans up your body. So they repair tissue and they eat up what should not be in your body. So very important. That's number 1. Number 2 is all your surviving bacteria, cancer cells, and pathogens get heat shock proteins. So they are flagged with green hair. And now you have a whole lot of new white blood cells, and they realize all of those guys which have green hair shouldn't be in our body and can address them much more effectively. So we have more white blood cells, we have our pathogens and cancer cells flagged, and some of the cancer cells, don't think they're all going to die off. You can't, even with extreme heat on the tumor, they don't die all off. But some of them do. And if you keep doing this treatment over and over again, you will realize that you can at least stop the progress. Now, the other treatments during the week with my sauna, detoxify, de-stress, cleaning up my life, getting good nutrients into my body, filling my body with a whole lot of vitamins, supplements, nutrients, you know, or go into a clinic, have IV cocktails where they fill you back up. If you are extremely low in zinc or selenium, well, have a few IV shots so that you can bring your system back on track a lot faster. Okay, we've got hypothermia. So because of the multi-factor effect, it is really great. Now, if you have an oxygen bottle already at home from your ozone, well, take the cannula, and while you do oxygen, while you do your hypothermia treatment, breathe in fresh oxygen. Your immune system is pumping through blood. Your heart is pumping through the blood in high speed. You probably go up when you reach the fever temperature to about 120 to 130, up to 140 beats per minute. Beats per minute, yeah, I think it is. So it's like exercise, climbing up a mountain and breathing. So if you then add oxygen, we know oxygen pumped to all the capillaries, all the organs, all the extremities is extremely healing. That's why you do hyperbaric oxygen. That's why you do ozone. So you have that extra effect, which is really great. Now that would be the minimum treatment I would do. Hyperthermia, and I would do that religiously because it covers so much ground. Now, if I realize that I have, we just talked about treatments for toxicity. Now, if I also realize from my tests coming back that I have Helicobacter pylori, that I have a lot of pathogenic bacteria in my stool, that my gut biome is completely out of balance, then I would definitely add as a secondary treatment. If I have more infections, less toxicity, ozone would be my primary treatment. So ozone will kill off bacteria, fungi, mold in the same way. It actually also creates heat shock protein number 7T, I think, onto those pathogens, and it kills off cancer cells. So you have the same factor as you have with hypothermia, just a lot more gentle, a lot easier too. It's not as tough as the hypothermia treatment. It's gentle, but it takes a longer time to affect the whole body. Now, what ozone does is it floods the body with oxygen and energy, just the same as hypothermia does, but it also makes your red blood cells more capable to carry oxygen. And that's why I would always combine both, just because the logic is so clear. With ozone, you make your red blood cells more pliable, they get softer, they can carry more oxygen, you feed in ozone with oxygen, so you get a massive oxygen boost into your system. And then go into your sauna, and then go into your hypothermia, and then do a little bit of exercise, and you will find that the effects of both of those treatments are incredible. Now, with ozone, we have another factor which is really great. You protect your healthy cells with SOD, superoxidase dismutase, catalase, glutathione peroxidase, which are our immune defense. So every cell gets a protective shield. So if a virus comes, if an attack comes, they bounce off, they protect themselves. So by feeding the base minerals, and I blend them in underneath in the text so that you know what you need to supplement gently, not overdo it, but gently, and so that the ozone that you use has actually the food to produce, including with your body, those enzymes, is a process that will put you, you know, like it's climbing up a hill. You don't start at the tip, you start at the bottom, and then you slowly work your way up. The more infections you kill off, the more toxins you flush out, the better your body will recover. If you have good nutrients in your body, like Gerson said, when you drink, you know, I really love Charlotte. She said, we need nutrients. So if you do juicing, great. If you eat a lot of veggies and greens, great. It's cold. You realize I'm rubbing my hands here. It's still snow around. So when you do your supplementation, don't only think supplements are cool. Food as well. Living food, greens, lots of greens, alkalining food. These are the main factors to get nutrients in, to replenish all your deficiencies, and then to get rid of toxins, get rid of infections, and you will see the body heals. And it heals not selectively just the cancer, it will heal everything. All of you will become more energized, more powerful, more clear in your head. Your brain fog disappears with the nutrients you take in, with the good fats and oils, avocado, some nuts and seeds. All of those things are great to restore your mind, and you will see that your intelligence goes up dramatically, your energy goes up dramatically, and your cancer cells will slowly diminish. Now, this is not a fast treatment. This is an ongoing treatment that you should plan for a longer period of time, but it works. And I have so many clients now that do it since 4, 5, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, past their due date. You know, they should long time be in the grave, and they're still around and they enjoy life because they follow those treatments religiously. Now, I would like to add one more point, because a lot of people think PMF will kill off cancer cells and it will do the whole thing. Yes, it kills off cancer cells in high concentration beams onto a tumor, but it releases all the toxins that are stored in that tumor. You remember Dr. Rao made a presentation where he showed that when they cut out prostate, for example, they always cut out a bit of the healthy tissue as well. Now that healthy tissue, they check toxicity levels, and then the tumor tissue, they check toxicity levels. And it showed that the toxins, heavy metals, bacteria, fungi, you know, Simoncini, cancer is a fungus, all of that was 40,000 times higher than in the healthy tissue, which means cancers are hogs for heavy metals. They accumulate toxins and toxin-producing substances like fungus, like bacteria, which then leach out neurotoxins. So when you start killing and you don't get rid of the toxins, you don't do sauna, you don't do ozone, you just kill your cancer cells, then all of those toxins are flushed out, and then they go circling through the body. And people will have side effects. They will have shifting of disease, which is not what we want. So PMF on its own is good for joints, is good for elbows, is good for knees, you know, like just all the way wrong. But it is something that will help you to restore healthy tissue, induce healing energy. But if you use it as a cancer treatment, it is only good if you accompany with binders, you know, so that the heavy metals are bound in your system. And that means not just 2 sprays of zeolite in your mouth and then have a half-hour hypothermia session. It means you prime the body with chlorella, with all the binders, DMPS, EDTA, and get your zeolite into your body, and then do it gently. Do the treatment, not more helps more. Do it gently, and whatever is released, catch it and poo it out, pee it out, you know, sweat it out, go into the sauna, and then you will realize that all of a sudden PMF as an adjunct treatment to the base treatments that we spoke about is very helpful. On its own, it's a couch potato treatment that may give you a good feeling and makes you a bit more energized, but it certainly won't resolve cancer. So same thing, if you use it for Lyme, a lot of people have Lyme and they use PMF on their elbows and joints and everywhere to get rid of the pain. Yes, it kills off some of those virus and bacteria, but they still float around in the body. You need to get rid of them. And that's why those base treatments, hypothermia, and I still put that on top, and ozone as a boost for hypothermia, as a protection for the body, are mandatory. They are the 2 treatments that I would always do first, and then add PMF. It just on its own, it's often mistaken. It's often overdone. And we think, well, let's kill that cancer, and we pulse an hour long into that area. And then where do all the toxins go? All right, I think I've covered everything. Spoke about stress, I spoke about the main treatments. Oh, probably what you've been waiting for. How do I actually add all those anti-cancer remedies that supposedly cure the body overnight to my program? Well, long break. I need to be careful how I say that. I would add them one by one to my program with very clear observation whether they work or not. Now, CBD oil is known to work. So if I use CBD suppositories, I would get a 10-pack or 20-pack and do that diligently for a period of 4 weeks and see, does it have an effect on me? We know all of those remedies work only for a very small fraction of the population. We don't know why. We still haven't figured out why. But they don't work for everybody. I had friends that took everything and nothing worked. So I would add to my base program, which is sauna, hypothermia, and ozone, maybe PMF. I would add, and deficiency supplementation and all of that. I always forget to mention, but that's one of the most crucial parts. I would add CBD for 4 weeks and see how it works. Does it actually shrink my tumor? If it doesn't do it, and I just have a drowsy head and I'm seriously tired, cut it out, that's it. Then I would use GCMAF, would do that for a month and follow through very diligently in a rather high concentration and see, does it work for me? Does it reduce the cancer load? Does it not? Do I feel different? Is it giving me more energy? Does it give me more support? If it doesn't, gone. And rather use the base supplementation, which is out of balance, instead of using those supplements as a targeted treatment. You know, you can always add some chaga mushrooms. They stimulate your immune system, but it's not supposed to be overstimulated. If you use ozone, you kick your immune system so much into gear. If you have hypothermia, you actually produce so many white blood cells that you don't need any more stimulation. You've got the best of all worlds. So adding those supplements might not really do the trick if you already have those base programs, but you can try them. I'd try everything and see if it works. And if it does, fine. If it doesn't, fine. It was worth the effort, and it could have worked, so maybe it was not a waste of time. So I think I've covered that intelligently without speaking or bad-mouthing anything, but don't rely on those treatments. I've seen too many people get hyped and then spend fortunes on those things, and they don't work. Go to the root basics and you will see you go past your due date a long way. Do it diligently, do it consistently, and build a nice network of support around you that you can work with, and you will find that cancer can be stopped, and if you do it really well, even reversed. And if you do it long enough, you might end up completely fit and healthy again and enjoy life. All right? Goodbye from beautiful California. I'm heading now into Nevada and will answer a few more questions from there.